Hello you, it's me. Today we're going to talk about The Long Way to a Small, Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Chambers is an American author who actually left her job and raised the funds to write and publish this on Kickstarter. Took a big risk, so we nearly didn't have it. Self-published this novel in 2014. This is book one in a 4-book series that won the Hugo Award for Best Series in 2019, which is arguably one of the biggest sci-fi awards it's possible to get at all. And Long Way to a Small Angry Planet was actually the first self-published book ever to be nominated for the Kitschies Award for Progressive, Intelligent and Entertaining Fiction. There will be me guessing some sci-fi, science-y stuff at the end of this review. I'll put a timestamp in for that. I want to be educated always, so if you have answers to the questions I have, drop them in the comments, tell me what's happening. But I will try and keep this pretty much as spoiler-free as I can. Here we go. The book is set in the far future after humanity has left a dying planet to spread out into the galaxy and live among its countless races. They've established colonies, contributed to society as a whole, put their days of war behind them, and been accepted as a spacefaring race by the Andrisks, Harmagians, and Aliens into the ranks of the galactic commons. There is still conflict in the galaxy, with the Quailin controlling huge swathes of space and attacking outpost human settlements. And the galactic core is completely controlled by the Teremi, whose views and philosophy makes them incomprehensible to outsiders. Anyone who crosses their borders is sent back in pieces. The story follows a character called Rosemary, fleeing her life on Mars, the solar Martian colony. She takes a job as a clerk on a ship called the Wayfarer, with a mixed human-alien crew, which punches holes through space to create wormholes that can be used as express routes connecting the galaxy's inhabited planets. A tribe of the violent Teremi have been contacted and agreed to terms bartering their way to gain membership to the Galactic Commons. So the Wayfarer takes a job to punch a hole through to Teremi space and back out, opening their civilization up to the galaxy and vice versa. First thing I'll say is that this is such a great gateway book for people who usually read YA and want to get into sci-fi. If you'd like to start sci-fi from YA but aren't sure where to jump in, I really recommend you read this. Really comfy, character-driven sci-fi with a found family vibe. Very similar feel to Firefly if you're a fan of that. I think you can really tell with Chambers' world build that they built the universe, then crafted a story inside it, or a lot of mini-stories in it strung together, rather than the other way round. And I think the best and most important symptom of that is that it feels organic and the universe feels big. There's some really fantastic race building, building of those cultures, races, and explorations of how their cultures would interact with human. It asks big questions too, like how the morals of cloning and the ideas of artificial intelligence would or would not be accepted in the future. One of my pet hates in sci-fi, and you come across it all the time, is human-shaped aliens. Like you land on a planet and the race there is just blue human or wrinkly forehead human. There are humanoids in this, which I thought would make me mad, but it actually has passages to explain that, which I really appreciated. Another one of my favourite sci-fi themes does appear in this book as well, and that's when you get to look at humanity from an outside perspective and see how objectively bonkers we all are. If you like that as well, check out a book called Footfall by Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle. Where I find most sci-fi is very cynical, I think this paints such a hopeful view of the future. It's a society galactically that's very accepting of people, accepting of their choices, and the dilemmas faced by characters in this book are dilemmas of morals. This isn't a society filled with prejudice, which is how a lot of sci-fi is very pessimistically written. I know a lot of people have a problem with this book in that there's no conflict, but what I think they mean when they say that is that there is no violent conflict, no big action sequences. The conflicts in here are conflicts of ideology and culture that are resolved through understanding and compromise. They're not conflicts of strength resolved through guile or violence. This is a reread for me. I don't often reread books, or not within a very short space of time. I read this for the first time a few years ago. This is the January pick, one of the 2 January picks for our Interstellar Book Club. Come find us on Twitter. This is so character-driven that it's pretty much about nothing else. Before rereading this, I couldn't have told you what the plot was. I'd totally forgotten, but I could name and describe every single character in the crew. There's a big exploration of different relationships between individuals. Sapphic, alien, polyamorous relationships, relationships with AI. There are also characters in here that don't use she or him pronouns. I think that was handled very well. This book is also very female character driven. The story of this book feels very serialized to me, with interaction after interaction and things being resolved relatively quickly, which would make it really adaptable into a TV show. But also, it would make a terrible movie. And it's really dialogue heavy, so it would lend itself very well to being turned into a script or a screenplay. Some of the dialogue is cheesy, but it's still really comfy. I think there are 2 lessons in this book that you can really take away in the end. The first being, don't make assumptions about people, who you think they are, what you think their life might be like. And the second is, don't use your own lifestyle, set of morals, as a basis for what is normal, because normal means very different things to different people. And I guess these are lessons we're going to have to make second nature if we ever get into contact with a civilization that's not our own. There were 2 things in here, science time, there were 2 things in here I was racking my brain about and trying to wrap my head around. The first is that the ships somehow use algae as fuel. I'm not sure how, but my best guess, and we have been debating these points in the group Discord, which is really cool, I'll link that below, make sure you join, we'll talk about sci-fi, is that hydrocarbon fuel maybe is rare on a galactic scale, and while Earth has oil and coal, things that can be turned into rocket fuel, other races, other planets may not. So rockets run on biogas and biofuel produced by algae, which I guess presumably would also be an atmosphere scrubber. But it never explicitly says. It just says algae equals fuel. So if you know, tell me how it do. The second is ambi, the second thing I'm thinking about. Chambers makes reference to ambi cells being used to power things when algae is not enough, and that it's collected from around black holes because it's the easiest place to get it, but that it's present in everything, it says. So what I think it is 0-point energy extraction from the ambient fluctuations in a vacuum. Maybe that's why it's abbreviated. I don't know though, so if you know, tell me. Apparently it's expensive though. It's expensive to harvest, it's expensive to produce. And if it's just extracted energy that is stored, would it not be stored as electricity? What's different about it to electricity, and what makes it so expensive? I can't remember if this is answered in book 3. But I guess we'll find out on the reread, because book 3 is the Sci-Fi Club pick for February. So we're going to read books 1 and books 2 this January. It's February now, I'm uploading this, but I read this in January. To get ready for the release of book 4 in March, which is The Galaxy and the Ground Within, which we're all very excited for. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So thanks for watching my review for this. The review for book 2 will be coming soon. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, which is linked down below. Make sure you follow me on Goodreads, which is linked down below. Also check out our Discord, which will also be linked down below. And I'll see you soon for the next one. Bye.